If we're talking driver-wise, we talked about a little bit about the gunner, but the driver's primary role is to engage, bigger threats, so tanks, jeeps, maybe helicopters from time to time, but also to keep the tank alive. If you can, avoiding fire, using cover, that's very important to especially if you're fighting more than one enemy at a time. When you're behind cover, obviously you've got less of your tank exposed and less opportunity for them to shoot at you. In terms of positioning the tank's armor, that's another huge part of the driver's job. If you're running reactive armor, it's not as important, however, because you can get hit in that side and it won't damage you. But once that's gone, or if you're not using reactive armor at all, the rear and the sides are much weaker than the front. So whenever you get hit somewhere, if you get hit in the back, I usually, if I'm gunning or if someone else is gunning, they'll hop out. I'll immediately point the tank's front armor to that threat, and that means they'll be able to do less damage. 2 to 3 rocket hits is all it takes to destroy a tank, especially if you're hitting it in the rear armor. So it's very important to keep that front armor towards the most important threats. One tactic I see a lot of tankers doing is they like to try and strafe you, and all that's basically doing is giving their side view to you. So when you're fighting, say somebody's charging you, if they're trying to flank you, don't move the turret. Move the tank itself so that you keep your front armor facing them while you pound away at their side. That gives you much more damage relative to what they're doing to you, and oftentimes you'll win. Another big threat to you in terms of that the driver's going to have to watch out for is avoiding guided missiles or javelins, especially with the recent patch. Javelins and I'm not sure if it's guided missiles too, but javelins do tremendous damage to a tank now. Depending on where you get hit, all it takes is one to disable you. However, the javelins can be, outmaneuvered and outsmarted. That's why we go back to cover, because a lot of times you can avoid javelins by getting behind cover. It's important to note, though, that javelins and guided missiles are a little bit weird. Sometimes, like, half the missile will go through a solid object and still hit you. It's just a little bit buggy at this point, so your best bet for avoiding these kinds of threats is tall, wide structures such as the construction buildings or the stacks of containers on washer canals, stuff like that. Helicopters and javelins, helicopters with guided missiles and javelins are pretty big threats, so you want to try and stay away from getting hit as often as possible. Regarding the boost feature, that is very, very important for the tank's survival, especially if you're crossing wide open areas. You generally want to be better, dart from cover to cover. If you're going normal speed, that's more of an opportunity for the enemy to go ahead and take a few shots at you. So using that boost feature is really, really helpful, especially if you're running away from something or just trying to get from place to place. We'll go we're talking about combat. First of all, I always like to know what I'm facing. So you want to pick out your largest threats first. That means, let's say you come across a flag and there's a tank, a guy with a javelin, you could hear the lock-on. Have your gunner get out and start repairing once you take damage, but then start picking out your threats. My rule of engagement is generally I'll go with guys with javelins first, if there are any, tanks second, and then regular infantry with rocket launchers third. In that order, they do successively more damage to you and are way more of a threat. If you're going tank versus tank, you gotta know where to aim. Obviously, you always want to try and get along and hit their side or rear armor. If they've got reactive armor, you generally I usually aim at their turret, and that's something that I don't see a lot of people doing. From what I've experienced, the turret or the front is not protected by the reactive armor, so if you can get a shot off at that, you're still going to be doing damage, and you're still going to have a better chance of destroying them. If you're engaging simply infantry, and I know that I talk about this a lot to my friends, if infantry is behind cover, the tanks have huge splash damage, so use that to take out infantry and cover. You'll be surprised, you know, you think, oh, maybe this won't kill him, but sometimes it will, you know, because then if you'll know you're hitting them, just watch out for those hit markers. If you don't get them the first time, just keep pounding away behind them or alongside them, and eventually they will go down.